back to Randy Rod Shop, folks. Well, what I had planned to do today, it really didn't work out that way. It's chilly outside. Wind chill is below zero, and I just didn't feel like opening the door. So what I decided was maybe you guys would find it useful if we talk about some actual numbers with regard to specifically putting this 8.6 in this C10, this 1967 truck we're working on, but more broadly, putting a rear end in a trailing arm vehicle. And I said vehicle because we put a trailing arm system underneath that 57 that we're working on. We put an Explorer frame under it, but the frame was a little short, so I took the cross member out of one of the other trucks I got. We welded in a trailing arm cross member, and we're going to have a trailing arm suspension under that 57 that's got an Explorer frame. So I drug in a 12 bolt. It's thrown in the bed of that 67 when I got it. I think it's out of a 67 to 70 and a half Chevy pickup, but I'm not sure. So I'm gonna move the camera around and let me show you what I got set up here. So using my little rolly cart that we cut this 8.6, we cut the tubes down. I thought, in the video where I made the trailing arms, I was measuring some factory trailing arms, and what we discovered was every one of those trailing arms are bent. There's a lot of miles and a lot of wear and tear on these old trucks. So to the best of my ability, when I measured that, I got about 13.5 degrees with regard to the kick-up on the trailing arms. Well, we're in a situation here where we should be able to measure from the axle standpoint, what that really is. So I've got a level setting across the perch. Let me get the camera down. So, the level isn't perfect, but the level showing it's pretty level. Our Harbor Freight angle finder is showing about the same thing. It's just a little bit to the right of zero. And I've got a digital gauge set up here. Well, that looks pretty close to zero. The reason I show you all three of them is it really doesn't. It's close enough. If you got a level, put the bubble in the middle. If you've got the Harbor Freight angle finder, it looks like to me it's pretty much, the same as this, because there's a variability in this thing too. So you don't need one of these. They're handy. I'll be the first to admit this thing's handy, but you don't need it. All right, I'm gonna set the camera up and let's go see what the pinion is on this thing. All right, so I'm gonna just put it across the yoke. I'm showing about 12.45 there. I got 12.6. So somewhere around 12.5, give or take. I've never actually set this up and measured it because I've never replaced a rear end in one of these old trucks that I wasn't doing something to. So I need to reset the pinion angle anyway. But if you're just doing a stock replacement, this ought to work. So let's have a look at this 8.6. This is the one we took 3 inches out of both sides in the last video so that we can get it set up to go into the 67 short wide we got setting outside. Let me walk you through some numbers. So I've got the pinion, so I've got it set up at best I can. I've got it set up to 12.5 degrees. And I've got the perch set up here pretty close to zero. There's a 1. It's moving around a little bit. So the question comes in, how do I know where to put the perch? Well, I went back out on the 63. That thing hasn't been molested. It still has the same trailing arms and the same rear end that came from the factory. And I just wanted to make absolutely sure that the numbers I was starting with were right. Last video we said that the internet said that the center line to center line of the back U-bolt hole was 41.5. I went out and measured it. As near as I can tell, it is 41.5 inches. So from the back U-bolt hole to the back U-bolt hole, center to center, is 41.5 inches. To help me, and for the future, to help me put this thing underneath the truck without having to need 3 hands, I weld on a little bar across here. You know, I put a piece of cardboard in there to kind of space it. And that thing's purpose in life is to take a hose clamp and hose clamp it to the axle. Let me get this put on. All right, so that just show you how you can hold it together until you know, if you're going to weld it up, you can weld it up now. In my case, I'll leave those things on there until I get it under the truck, and then I can set the pinion angle and weld those things in. Once you get them tacked, you can take the hose clamps off, and everybody's happy. Usually I can get the U-bolt across there, and it doesn't cause me any pain. Once I get the perch tacked, then I can take the U-bolt loose, get this hose clamp out, and bolt it all back together, and we're good to go. So let's talk about where to actually put these things left to right. In my case, and this approach should work. This approach should work regardless of what rear end you're putting in. So the numbers will be different than what I'm going to tell you, but the approach ought to work. In my case, outside the flange to outside the flange is 56 and 5/16. Now we know that the center line of this back hole ought to be 41.5 inches. So if you subtract those two and then divide that number by 2, that should give you where that center line of that back hole needs to be relative to the outside of this flange. And my case, again, this is unless you're going to do the exact same thing I did, and that is a Silverado axle, take 3 inches out, the number's not going to be the same. But in my case, I measured 7 and 7/16, within 30 seconds. 7 and 7/16 from the outside flange, and that's where that center line is going to be. So you have everything you need to put new perches on pretty much any axle you want to put them on, and they will fit into a trailing arm suspension. One of the things that may trip you up if you're not careful, I mean, I think what I laid out here is pretty straightforward, but visually it can look wrong. Right? This axle, the tubes are the same on both sides. The axle shafts on the Silverado are the same length. Left and right are the same. So that means the pumpkin itself is centered, but the drive shaft isn't centered left to right. Let me take a measurement from the center point of the pinion to the outside of that flange. And I know we're on the angle, but we're going to do it the same on both sides. So I got about 30 inches, pretty close to 30 inches right there. And I got 29 inches on the other side. So that drive shaft isn't centered to the engine or transmission, assuming the engine's centered. Some vehicles, the engine's actually not centered, but I'm not even going to mess with that. On the Explorer, the axles are different. So one axle is shorter than the other one. The pinion is centered on the Explorer rear end. And so when you look at it visually, right, when you're setting that up, it's going to look like the perch is closer to the housing on one side than the other. But in terms of the axle itself, it's going to be centered under the car. Just something to keep in mind. I almost forgot. You guys have any ideas of what to do with LS head bolts? Obviously, I've taken some apart, and I just got the overhaul kit, or I've got the stuff to rebuild a 6-liter. And I've almost got the stuff to rebuild a 5.3. Plus, the other engines I've got out there, I want to pull them apart and just replace all the gaskets and stuff. So I'm going to have a pile of those things. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you guys figured out something to do with all those head bolts. Oh hey, I don't know about you, but I am ready to see if these store-bought axles are going to fit into our modified housing. When I took this rear end apart, I pulled it out of a truck, a truck I had in the pasture, and it was my cousin's truck, and they had a little fender bender, so it was running and driving. So I really didn't pay much attention to any of the wear or anything like that. I just took the thing apart, threw it in a box, and ordered the axles, figured out what axles I need, ordered the axles. Maybe I should have paid a little closer attention. This pin has some significant scoring on it, and it's a result of this pin, which is the cross pin, holds everything together. It had a little bit of wiggle in it, and that allowed this thing to move. Makes me wonder whether it was low on oil, or I don't know. Be that as it may, I can see me taking the differential out of another truck and putting it in this one, because this isn't nothing but problems waiting to happen. I don't know if you've ever broke one of those pins off in there, but that's annoying. They don't want to come out. Anyway, I'm gonna move the camera around. Let's see if we can get this thing in here, because I really want to see how the axles fit in this housing. All right, I'm gonna move the camera around. So before we start this, I just want to say I am not a differential expert, so we're just gonna get it together. Hopefully it all goes together all right. Let's go. So these shims have a rounded edge on one side. That goes the outside. And in general, these things don't just slide in there. GM makes a tool to actually spread this housing to make this go, in. Most of the time, you stick it in there and then just kind of tap it with a hammer. Now, ideally, you don't want to hit this thing real hard. That's cast. So if it doesn't really want to go in there, you might want to do some looking. All right, let's see if we can get the caps on. Like I said before, don't mix up these caps. Now, I'm not going to worry too much about torquing these, because as you saw, we're going to replace this thing. Focus right now is put the axles in. Well, it turns. That's a good sign. Let me get an axle. Another little tidbit is when you're putting these in, a little bit of grease makes for a happy day. Now, when you turn this around, without that pin in there, these spiders will want to roll out of there. So kind of keep your finger in there so they don't roll out. And when you're putting it in, oh, I got this thing turned upside down. When you're putting it in, make sure that you line that hole up with the hole that's supposed to be here. In this case, I got it upside down. It's on the other side. I wasn't sure it was going to be the standard. I figured by this time it's going to be metric, but it's still a 5/16. And again, I'm not going to get overly excited about tightening that up. Well, I can tell you, folks, that makes me pretty happy. I need to, I'm gonna have to go do some looking to find all the disc brake stuff on it. It may be faster to pull it off another truck. But I think I've got all of that stuff. I think I've got it back there on the shelf. I'll see if I can find it. Because that's the last piece of this puzzle, is when you bolt on the brake bracket and you put the disc on there and you put the caliper on there, does everything line up? Now just looking at it, I think this is going to work out pretty cool. I'll hunt up the brakes in the next video. I'll see if I can have them things on here so we can see that it all works. Or not. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. We try to have fun here. Make a comment. Tell me if you got any ideas on those bolts. Otherwise, I'm gonna have a big pile of bolts going to the scrapyard, I guess. I don't know. Leave a like, and until next time, I'm Random at Random Rod Shop, and I'm out of here.